A very warm welcome to our distinguished speaker, esteemed guests, members, and participants to this important session at Ahmedabad Management Association. What could be a bigger honor today at AMA than to have Dr. Meenesh Shah, Chairman, NDDB. Welcome, Dr. Sai. AMA has consistently served as a platform for dialogue on critical sectors that drive India's economic and social progress. Today's theme, from self-sufficiency to global leadership, India's dairy path under Viksit Bharat 2047, strongly aligns with AMA's mission of connecting policy, industry, and management thoughts. India's dairy sector represents one of the most successful models of inclusive and sustainable development, transforming the country from a milk-deficient nation into the world's largest producer of milk. The cooperative movement and farmer-led institutions in the dairy sector have empowered millions of rural households, strengthened livelihoods, and created a resilient rural economy with a strong focus on women participation. As India moves towards Viksit Bharat 2047, the dairy sector is poised to play a strategic role through value addition and product diversification, adoption of technology and digital systems, sustainability and climate conscious practices, and stronger global competitiveness and market integration. The sector's contribution to national income and rural employment highlights its importance not just as an agriculture activity, but as a key driver of economic development. Today's session gives us an opportunity to reflect on how leadership, innovation, and effective governance can help Indian dairy transform from production leadership to global thought leadership. At AMA, we believe such discussions are essential for shaping future-ready institutions and policies that support India's long-term vision. Today, as mentioned, we have the honor of hosting the visionary leader, Dr. Meenesh Shah, who has been instrumental in shaping the Indian dairy sector for over 4 decades. He is the chairman and managing director of the National Dairy Development Board, NDDB as more commonly known, with a distinguished 40-year career in the dairy sector. Joining NDDB in 1985 as a dairy technologist, he has held diverse roles across the dairy value chain and holds a postgraduate degree in rural management from IRMA Anand. With the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India under his leadership, NDDB has pioneered farmer-centric innovations such as the indigenous Gau sort semen, Gau chip, and Mahish chip genomic tools, embryo transfer media, and sustainable dairy practices. He also chairs several institutions including Mother Dairy, Indian Immunologicals, an animal vaccine and a human vaccine manufacturing company, and National Cooperative Development Corporation, NCDC. Recognized with honors such as the Doctor of Science from Kamdenu University, 14th Dr. Kurian Award of Indian Dairy Association, and IDF Prize of Excellence 2023, and the Visionary Leadership Award 2025, he has championed sustainability, inclusive growth, and global promotion of Indian smallholders' dairy system. Welcome again, Dr. Meenesh Shah, and I am delighted to felicitate you on behalf of AMA. With this, I invite Dr. Meenesh Bhai Shah to take over, share his vision, thoughts, and talk about how NDDB is going to be a contributing factor towards taking India up to 1947 towards a prosperous India.
Thank you, Rajiv ji. Dr. Bharat Bhai, all the members of AMA, my colleagues from NDDB, IDMC, and all other institutes. Friends, I think it's a great privilege for me to be here. You know, once in a while, you always read in the newspaper that who is going to talk today in AMA. When you see Gujarat Samachar in the morning, and I was so delighted to see Gujarat Samachar today, where it was that I'll be able to come and deliver a speech. So thank you once again, AMA, for this invitation. I think it's a great fusion of the institute which was pioneered or founded by Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, the spaceman of India, you can say, and also a organization which was founded by Dr. Kurian, the father of the White Revolution, and I think it's a fusion of both these institutes. Such organizations or institutes, actually, they are not for merely making profits or making strong balance sheets. Actually, these institutes are recognized by how they have helped in building our nation. And I think when I joined NDDB, I was perhaps not that much aware the work which the NDDB has done or some of the other institutes who have built the nation like ISRO itself. And such, I think, nation building capacity which is actually demonstrated by both these organizations. So I'm really privileged. I'll be brief in my talking today. This is the session outline. So some overview of the dairy sector, how this milk evaluation happened in the country, some genesis about the evaluation of NDDB, how NDDB came into the existence, some of the critical success factors, what we have done differently, why the cooperatives in dairy sector particularly are successful, when you have seen so many other cooperatives and you have sugar cooperatives, you have many other cooperatives. But I think the success which the dairy cooperatives have achieved, why it differentiates from the other cooperatives, I'll try to give some of my understanding. Some of the new initiatives which NDDB has taken up, and I'll end my talk with some of the challenges which we still face today, and for becoming the Viksit Bharat in 2047, how we should go ahead, or the vision for the dairy sector. I think we all know that dairy or the cow is very, very important from the social point of view or the cultural point of view in our country. It has played a very, very significant role. If you recollect, right from Lord Krishna, you can see the influence of cow and influence of dairy on our lives and how it helps the social upliftment in the rural areas, how it is the integral part of the Indian farming. It also actually, satisfies to basic purpose, and both are very, very important from the Indian context. The first thing is providing livelihood to almost 8 crore families today. I think there is no other sector or no other sector which actually provides direct employment to so many large number of rural families. And the second, which is also more important in the context of our country, is actually providing nutrition. Nutrition for the other countries is not very significant from dairy products because they have the alternate source in form of poultry, in form of meat. So when you say animal protein, I think they have poultry and meat into their diet. But considering that India has almost half of the population which is lacto-vegetarian, means we are different from vegan, We are different from non-vegetarian. You can say that it is vegan plus milk and milk products, which defines the vegetarianism which we follow. And for them, perhaps if you see, I think milk and milk products is the only source of animal protein. And thus it also serves a very, very important need of providing nutrition to large number of, large number of our people in the country. Let us reflect where India stands today in terms of the dairy sector, where we stand. So as I think it was told earlier, India is the world's largest milk producer. From about 17-18 million metric tons of milk which was produced in our country when we became independent somewhere in 1940, 1950, or up till 1960, you can say that our milk production was about 17 to 20 million metric tons per day. Today, we are producing 248 million metric tons of milk. From 1998 onwards, we are the largest producer of milk. And the second country after India is US, which is producing about 104, 105 million metric tons of milk. So you can see that we are producing more than double of milk than the next, the second country in the globe. And apart from the, I think, production, we are also, the largest consumer of milk and milk products. If you see our diet pattern, irrespective of the state where you are staying, you take eastern part, you take northern part, you can take south. Either milk or milk products is part of our staple diet. Your morning breakfast, your lunch, your dinner cannot be without either milk or any of the milk product in the diet. And therefore, I think we are also the largest milk producer. Although we are growing at a very healthy rate in terms of milk production, we never have problem of surplus milk like the other countries are facing. For example, New Zealand. You might have read recently about the free trade agreement between India and New Zealand last week. It came into existence, and why dairy was kept out. I think New Zealand produces milk, which is from there they consume only 10% of the milk which they produce. 90% of the milk they produce need to be exported. And this, I think, the large quantity of milk when it comes for the world trade, you can anticipate that what happens in the countries actually where we are also largest milk producer. Now, if we have to also export the surplus milk, you can think of the price which you will get and also the price which you will be able to supply or provide to the farmers. I think we are still paying the highest price back to the producer from the consumer rupee earned. Today, the model which we have developed, we are able to pass on almost 75 to 80% of the rupee which you spent back to producer. You take any agriculture product in India or in the world, nowhere you can see that 80% of the consumer rupee is going back to the producer. So I think this is the beauty of the model which we have created. And although the production is big, we are also the largest consumer, and that puts us into some comfort because we do not have to see the market globally. In terms of the cattle and buffaloes or cow and buffaloes, I think we are blessed with very good genetic pool of animals. Take example of Gir, take example of Sahiwal or Kankrej, for example, which are, Gir and Kankrej, they are actually, Gujarat is the native for those breeds. We have Sahiwal, Rajasthan and Punjab or Haryana, you can find those breeds also part of Pakistan. They are one of the best breeds what the farmers can have. They have the good disease resistance. They can actually tolerate high temperatures which we have, unlike the HF and Jersey, from Europe, for example, who can't tolerate such high temperatures. As I told, we continue to be the largest milk producer in the world. Our milk production is 1/4 in the globe. That means 25% of the milk produced today in the world is produced in India. And we are very confident that the way in which we are actually implementing some of the scientific programs over last few years, the days are not far when we will produce one third of the milk which globe produce in India. The per capita availability of milk, I think again, the availability of milk is very healthy in our country. Our per capita availability is almost 485 grams of milk per person per day, as against the world average of about 330 grams. Even if you see the WHO recommendation also, they also recommend about 300 to 325 grams of milk per person per day for a healthy diet, and I think we are much above those recommendations as well. As I told, last 10 years we have been growing at a very healthy rate. Our compounded annual growth rate is more than 5%, and the world is just growing at 2.2%, which again is actually largely contributed by India and Pakistan and China, mostly the Asian countries. And in terms of the value of output, milk is the single largest agriculture commodity. So even if you take all your wheat, rice and sugarcane together, the value of output of milk is still the larger. It's about 12 lakh crore, and it's more than the total sum or total output of wheat, paddy and sugarcane. So this is just the the explanation. You can see how the milk has started contributing towards the gross value addition of our country against the livestock, against the agriculture, and also how the wheat, paddy and sugarcane are contributing as compared to the milk. One of the other significant factor in the context of India is also the ownership of agriculture land and the ownership of bovine assets by the small and marginal farmer. You can say that if you compare, you will find that the animal holding is actually far more equitable as compared to the land holding. For example, you can see that in our country, almost 93% of the rural households, either they are small or marginal, and they hold less than 2 hectares of land. Now, if you come to the bovine ownership, the 50% of the agriculture land actually is owned by them, small and marginal, whereas in terms of the female or bovine ownership, it's almost 84%. So which means that the asset holding or the animal holding by the small and marginal farmer is much higher as compared to the land holding, and you can indirectly say that income from these bovine assets or the animal husbandry activity is much more than what they get from the agriculture. We have carefully selected again the low input, low output model. Many countries, actually criticize India that our productivity of animal is much lower as compared to some of the developed nations. Our cow will give almost 2,500 to 3,000 liters per annum, as compared to maybe 10,000 liters in US or maybe 8,000, 7,000 liters of milk in some of the European countries. But then we have selected this model very, very carefully, because for us, I think the nutrition of the larger population which we have, human population, is also important. We can't afford the grains, for example, whether it is maize or bajra or jowar, going to the animals like they feed in the other countries. We are largely, crop residue based animal husbandry practices, and that is explained, considering that we have to feed the hunger of large population which we have before we start feeding those things to animal. So our milk production is actually by the masses, and it's not the mass production. And it against, it's our social fabric. You can say that whether the cow produces 2,000 liter, 1,000 liter or 5,000 liter per annum, the cow remains the part of the family. Even if when it becomes dry, most of us want to keep. If we are unable to keep, we have so many gaushalas, where people are ready to fund those, charitable activities where cows are kept till they live peacefully. And this social fabric differentiates India from other countries, In other countries, the cow is perhaps treated as a machine or asset. The moment the cow produces less than 10,000 liter per annum, it finds a way into the slaughterhouses. Our system is quite different, and therefore I think we are satisfied with the low output of milk from the animal, and we have carefully selected this model. It actually, the animal husbandry is something which has been part of the agriculture always. What we have observed that, in agriculture we have seen continuous droughts for many years. Very recently we have seen the climate change affect, the rains in the unseasonal rains, for example, it spoils the complete agriculture crops for the farmer. And you find the stress in the farmer families because whole year they work for the crops, and at the end of the year they don't have any output from the field. And therefore I think animal husbandry, if they are practicing along with the agriculture, at least it provides them some subsistence income. Every 10 days they get money. We were discussing in the morning, salary, they feel this as salary. And every day, morning, evening, they supply milk, and every 10 days they get money. So the basic needs of the family, whether it is the education of the children, or it is the health of the family members, or the food and cloth, of course, I think it is taken care by the animal husbandry, and that I think that has become a real strength for the growth of the animal husbandry. And it has become the major source of rural employment. Even during the COVID, for example, the dairy was a rural lifeline. We told all the cooperatives which are working in the country that you should not say no to farmers, and every drop of milk which is coming, whether you are able to sell or not, because we had lockdowns, there was no demand for milk in the market. People were preferring, for example, the long shelf life milk, so that they don't have to go out very often. And under those circumstances, it was a real challenge. You start or you continue buying milk, and then you don't have the output, means you are unable to sell. Every milk what we have to receive from farmers, you pay them money, convert the milk into milk powder and butter to increase the shelf life, because unlike other products, this is something which will get spoiled in 5 hours if you can't handle the properly. And therefore, every drop of milk, in spite of these challenges, all the cooperatives collected from the farmers. We paid the money for all the 2 years, 3 years, wherever we had the problem. NDDB, in fact, provided the working capital assistance to all the cooperatives. So we told them to borrow from the commercial bank, and we provided them 4% interest subvention. So against the commercial rate, which was about 6% or 5% for the better cooperatives from the banks, 4% interest subvention was provided by NDDB through the Government of India scheme. And that allowed cooperatives to continue to function, continue to pay money to the rural households. And today it's not a small amount. The cooperatives alone, every day we pass on 250 crore rupees to the rural area, every day. So it's more than 1 lakh crore over the year, but then every day 250 crores going from the urban pockets to the rural families, and you consistently maintain that is something which is responsible for the rural employment for more than 8 crore families, and it has become an instrument for the rural prosperity and social change. So this is about what we are today, how this happened, how the model was created, and how the NDDB was came into existence. I'll just explain few things. It all started with Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. We all know that how visionary leader he was. Around 1940s, Anand had one private dairy entrepreneur called Paulson. Those who are a little bit older will know about Paulson. We used to say, Paulson very often, that Paulson Namar. So, we know it was a company in Anand, and the farmers in Anand, generally Anand and erstwhile Kera district, they were involved in animal husbandry from for a long time. They were also supplying milk and khova to Bombay. So for them, Bombay was a market. Whenever, milk is a seasonal business actually, because of the cycle of, the cows and buffaloes. The winter generally has a high milk production, and the summer you get this less milk production. Some of the cow go dry. Then you will have to again breed them, and then when they become pregnant, they again start giving milk. And so when there is a glut, when there is lot of milk in the market, Paulson will not buy milk from the farmers. I think those who stayed in the villages in those times will realize that the milk will then converted into maybe curd or ghee, and every village will have the buttermilk from the people who actually convert milk into the ghee. So they were not getting the steady income. And this problem was actually explained to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. He advised them to have their own cooperative. That the only solution for this problem is to form own cooperative. You only manage your business, and that will allow you to get the better realization for milk throughout the year. And that's how Amul started. In 1946, Amul was registered as a cooperative. Morarji Bhai Desai was also part of this movement, and Tribhuvan Das Patel, who was the local leader from Anand, he then decided that, okay, I will form the cooperative. He became the founder chairman. In 1 or 2 years after they started, Dr. Kurian, who was actually on a foreign scholarship by Government of India, returned from US, and he was asked to work in Amul for a few years. And that's how, that Jugalbandi between Tribhuvan Das Patel and Dr. Kurian started. They had their first milk processing plant in Anand. They also had the some of the innovative things like producing powder from the buffalo milk, for example. Everybody advised that powder cannot be made from the buffalo milk. But I think they had the breakthrough. They could demonstrate that milk powder can be made from buffalo milk. And somewhere in 1964, they also decided to set up first animal feed plant, cattle feed for the animals. And Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, the then Prime Minister, he came to Anand. He decided to stay in village and interact with farmers rather than staying in Ahmedabad or Baroda or Anand. And by the interaction with the farmers, there is a village called Ajarpura. It's about 7-8 kilometers from Anand. He stayed in the village. Whole night he was discussing with the farmers. And he realized that the social upliftment or the economic empowerment which has happened in this part, which I can see, has not happened in the other parts of the country. And that's how I think he told next day after the event was over to CM of Gujarat, also to Tribhuvan Das Patel and Dr. Kurian, that how can I replicate this cooperative model throughout the country. And in subsequent few days, Dr. Kurian submitted the proposal, and that's how in 1965, NDDB came into existence. So the basic purpose of the NDDB was to replicate the Anand pattern of cooperative, which was evolved, or the Amul, throughout the country, and also organize various dairy development programs for the country. And we started with the Operation Flood program. And in that process, actually, we started catering to the entire value chain. And these are some of the subsidiaries of NDDB which were formed in that phase during the Operation Flood. When we realized that there is a need for example, he referred about the animal vaccines. We were buying vaccine at that point of time, very common vaccine, which is called FMD, is a disease, which was available at about 18 rupees. You'll have to import at 18 rupees from abroad. We started manufacturing in India and started supplying at some 2 rupees, some paisa to Government of India. Today also we are supplying this vaccine to Government of India in about 17, 18 rupees. Just think of the saving in the exchequer or saving, because Government of India is the largest customer for these vaccines. And the same thing, I think, for n number of vaccines we started producing. We are also now into the human vaccines, for example. And some of the vaccines like hepatitis A, I think we are the only company which manufactures hepatitis A vaccine today in India. We also manufacture rabies, for example, rabies vaccine, and we are the largest manufacturer in the world. We are exporting to almost 40-50 countries today and largest producer in the world. The similar need arises for the dairy processing equipment, for example. All the equipment which you see for dairy processing were imported. And there was a need because we were expanding cooperatives and everywhere the dairy plants were being set up. There was a need to manufacture this equipment in India. And NDDB set up another subsidiary which is IDMC, Indian Dairy Machinery Company, which is in Anand. And they manufacture the dairy process equipment. And the same story for the other subsidiaries. And that's how I think how NDDB gets differentiated from other businesses or other enterprises is that if you see the dairy value chain, it starts from cow, ends with consumer. So we say that cow to consumer is our value chain. And we have our own institute catering to every part of that value chain. So I think that differentiates the organization like NDDB, and maybe we are able to provide or we are able to help farmers so much because of such organizations which were created during the Operation Flood. So I think after the NDDB was set up in 1965, as I told, the task was to replicate Amul or Anand pattern of cooperatives, and which we did. So today you see brands like Verka, Nandini, Avin, Sanchi, Saras in Rajasthan. All these state dairy federations like Amul in Gujarat, they were formed under the Operation Flood. Again, I think it was implemented in 3 phases from 1970 to 1996. Again, the uniqueness of this project was, although we had a plan, we wanted some resources. And you can think of, country becoming independent, and after 10, 15 years, government cannot spend so much money only on one sector because there were other priorities for the government. And therefore, the NDDB decided that let us find out some resource, and we realized that a lot of powder and butter at that point of time was donated actually to India because of the large population we had. Our milk production was very less, population was growing at a healthy rate, and therefore the availability of milk, per capita availability was going down, and which attracted a lot of donor agencies, and they were supplying these commodities to India. NDDB decided that let us not give this commodity free of cost to consumer. The government corporations which were taking these commodities were allowed to monetize it, and the money which we received from monetizing this commodity was actually used for creating the infrastructure. So whether it was a processing infrastructure, setting up the dairy plant, or infrastructure at the village level, those were all created from the donated commodities which we received. And subsequently, when we realized that this can work and this is giving us some success, when we wanted more resources, NDDB took the loan from World Bank, which supported the next phases of the Operation Flood. And as I told, we concluded Operation Flood in 1996. In 1998, we became the largest milk producer in the world. And I think these are some of the numbers which we achieved. A lot of innovations happened, including the subsidiaries were set up by NDDB, which are still working for building the nation. Then somewhere in 2006, 2007, we again realized that the demand of milk is increasing because we opened our economy in 1992. A lot of urbanization took place, our markets were open. That put additional money in the hands of consumer. And I think first thing what we saw that the consumers were actually converting their carbohydrates in the plate to the protein. It's a natural phenomenon which happens everywhere. When you have more money, your carbohydrates in the plate gets replaced by the protein. This is unique in every country. Although the commodities or the food item can change, and because we are lacto-vegetarian, I think the milk and milk products was something, the demand was increasing very rapidly. And Planning Commission at that point of time came out with a report that if the demand continues at such a high growth rate, and if we are unable to match the production, I think India will again need to import milk and milk products. And there was, a red flag for NDDB. Having made the country self-sufficient, we never wanted that the country again becomes dependent or import dependent for milk and milk products. We designed the National Dairy Plan. It was implemented from 2012 to 2019, and whatever targets we had set for ourselves for the milk production, we could achieve that by several strategies. So it was again a value chain concept where we worked on all the aspects. So right from the production of semen doses, for example, so we produced high genetic merit bulls for the semen stations so that you get better genetic semen. We strengthened those semen stations so that we are able to produce more and more semen doses, and we can increase the coverage of artificial insemination. We even started providing doorstep services to the farmers. And more actually cooperatives were formed. And at the end of the National Dairy Plan, when we culminated in 2019, we had added almost 17 lakh more milk producers into the cooperatives, of which about 40% were women. We also actually had almost 59 lakh beneficiaries across 97,000 villages by this program. And at the end of the program, we were able to get all the objectives in terms of the milk production. And today also, the high growth rate which we get between 5 to 6% compounded annual growth rate is actually due to the successful implementation of the NDP. And World Bank also, actually this was also funded by World Bank. And when it was evaluated by the World Bank, they also gave highest rating for the World Bank funding project with highly satisfactory. So world over, only 2 to 3% projects which are supported by World Bank gets this highly satisfactory rating. So as of now, as I told, we have almost 22 states where we have a federation, like we have AMUL or GCMMF in Gujarat. Almost 22 such states have the federations. Some of the smaller states had the Apex Milk Union, which is actually working as a federation. The cooperatives together collect almost 7 crore litre of milk every day, of which about 4.5 crore litres of milk is sold as liquid milk. The remaining milk is being converted into various milk products. And we have also promoted the alternate form of cooperatives. So traditionally, the cooperatives were registered under the Cooperative Act, State Cooperative Act. We had seen that there were various challenges, for the running of the cooperatives. The large challenge being, the political interference and some of the governance issues. We have seen some of the good cooperatives like Parag, which was set up in UP, could not sustain for a long time because of these reasons. And then we thought that why can't we have cooperatives as a principle, but then they get registered under the Companies Act. So the FPOs, or farmer producer organizations, or the milk producer organizations, was a new generation of cooperative. And now we have promoted almost 23 such milk producer organizations in 11 states, and they are also collecting about 64 lakh litres of milk. They have a member base of about 12 lakh, and there 76% of the members are women. So we had the earlier challenges of enrolling women as members. Because of various reasons, the identity itself was an issue. In 1950s and 60s, opening bank account for women was almost impossible. And they've now that we have surpassed all those challenges with Jan Dhan account or with Aadhaar as identity, I think now it has become easy, and we are enrolling more and more women as the member of the cooperatives. So why this, actually I told in the beginning, why the dairy cooperatives are successful, although there are many such cooperatives in different fields which are working. And we have started, so I have started critically examining that what are the success factors, or what are some of the management lessons which we can draw up after 50 years or 60 years of successful operation of these cooperatives. What has happened which helped us to grow like we have? And the first success factor, I think, which is very critical, is having a visionary leadership and the professional management. I think you need both hand in hand. So, for example, the Tribhuvandas Patel provided that leadership and Dr. Kurian provided that professional management. So, I think for being the sustainable, it only comes from the institutional building and the ethical leadership which we have seen for the dairy cooperatives. The other thing is, I think, the model itself. The cooperatives versus the private companies or the collective strength which the cooperative provides to the farmers. So I think for the agriculture products or some of the perishable products like we have, cooperative model still remains the best for providing better value to the farmer and also giving a collective strength to them. It actually empowers the stakeholders, improves their loyalty, and it provides a stability of returns to them, remunerative price, and it helps us to get long-term sustainability. Another thing is, I think, the marketing and the brand trust. Take the example of Amul, for example. When you buy Amul or when you buy such cooperative, Saras in Rajasthan or Sanchi in MP, I think the first thing which you really like is the trust what you have in those products. You can clearly see that the product is pure. It cannot be adulterated like other products which are available in the market. And all these cooperatives which have been in the market for more than 50 years have built a very strong brand. They provide consistent quality at a very, very reasonable price. And their motto is low margin and high volumes. So actually you can decide as a business strategy whether I want niche market and very high margin, or I want a mass volume and then with a low margin. Dr. Kurian always used to say that it's the actually when you multiply both, the figure comes is very, very important rather than feeling satisfied that I am taking 50% margin or 60% margin. When you multiply it with the volume, and then even if 1% volume, if you have 1% margin, if you have higher volumes, I think the end result is very, very important. And I think that lesson we have all learned, which is very, very important for the sustainable business. Again, I think marketing has to be driven or supported by the supply chain and the operational excellence. As I told, we are still able to pass on almost 80% of the consumer rupee back to producer. From the remaining 20%, all our direct cost, with all the variable cost, for example, also all the overheads, including the staff salaries, the depreciation, interest, everything is taken care of. And this requires a very, very strong supply chain and operational excellence. In every aspect, I think you will have to see critically where my money is going, what is the operational discipline which I can bring into the value chain, which allows me to pass on higher amount to the producer. Again, I think technology is something which you can't avoid. In any business, what is important that you will have to build that trust. And in the dairy sector, we have built that trust with the technology integration. So in the farmer, for example, when he gives milk in the morning, he gets precisely what is the volume of my milk, what is the fat percentage and SNF percentage, that is the quality parameter for which he gets the milk. He immediately gets the SMS, he gets the slip, and that builds the trust. And this trust is actually built by the technology because the technology allows you such things. And that's how we have fully automated milk collection system. We have digital quality testing at all the level in our value chain, and the direct payment is made by using this technological adoption which we have. I think that makes our value chain very, very effective, and it provides benefits to all these stakeholders. Again, I think the capacity building and training is also integral part, and we have been continuously training all the farmers, supervisors, the board of directors, all the stakeholders. We have designed programs for the training and capacity building, and we strongly believe that investment in people actually ensures the long-term competitiveness. And these are some of the other, I think, factors which has led to such success. risk and crisis management, social responsibility, and commercial viability. So I think the cooperatives are the best example for catering both, working socially responsible, and also they are also generating money so that they remain commercially viable. I think with that, I'll now go into the future. So this was the more of the past what we have done, and some of the new initiatives what we are doing now. Some reference was made. So as I told, I think the challenge for India is the low productivity of animal, and therefore we have been continuously working on the various technological advancement in animal breeding, animal health, and animal nutrition. And some of the work which we have done in last few years, for example, the world over there were only two sex-sorted semen technology. Sex-sorted semen means, those of you who have some science background, there is a X chromosome and Y chromosome which decides the birth of a male or female. And X is female, Y is for male. So, we had earlier the bulls, we also had the cows, and bulls were largely used for the drought purpose in the agriculture. Now that we have the tractors and lot of mechanical power, no farmer would like to use the bull, for the drought purpose. And therefore, when actually the bull is born, it is economical loss for the farmer. He always expect that I should have the cow so that my income, continues from this business. So we have now developed technology which sorts the semen. So you have 85-90% purity of the X chromosome in the semen. So when you use this semen for breeding, actually you have a 85-90% probability of getting the female cow born in place of male. And this is, I think, the technology which is developed by NDDB is only after two technologies which were developed in the US. We had this exported semen in the country which was sold at almost 800 to 1000 rupees a dose. Now we are selling this at 250 rupees. So this has made the affordability for the farmers also. The same thing I think for genomic upgradation of the cattle. Normally any genomic change if you have to take, it takes generations. So you make some change today in the existing genes, the next generation will have some improvement. And this takes almost a lifetime for upgrading the genomics. So we have developed now genomic chips. With the genomic chips for the cow and buffalo, it is possible to predict. So actually it's we are taking some 30,000, 40,000 different characters, both physiological, also the analytical parameters. And the DNA of the cow is run through these chips, and the chip will tell you about the future of the cow. So how much milk will this calf produce when it becomes cow? And this has actually helped the farmers to make decisions whether I should keep this cow or not, or I need to keep this bull for the semen stations or not. And these are some of the breeding technologies which is going to improve our productivity of animals, and that is coupled with all the things which we do for the animal nutrition, for example, animal health. And we are doing actually one of the challenge for the dairy sector is the methane emission, because those of you know methane is a greenhouse gas, and all this climate change has made the dairy sector also responsible for for the greenhouse gas emissions. And therefore we are balancing the ration for the animals, which has made 10 to 15% reduction in the methane emission by the animals. So we are doing this. It also actually improves the milk yield of the animals. And so many things which we are doing also for the fodder, for example, some of the technologies are being developed. We are working on fodder seeds, availability of fodder seeds, and in the health also, we are mitigating AMR challenge, for example, by using the ethanoveterinary medicines so you treat the animal without the antibiotic with the Ayurveda or the traditional remedies what we have. Another thing which we are now doing is actually white revolution too. So over these years, all these dairy cooperatives, what they have done, out of the 6 lakh villages what we have in the country, we have hardly covered about 1.5 lakh or 2 lakh villages. The government is very keen because if we have to see the collective vision of Viksit Bharat in 2047, I think the corporates and the service sector has done their part, and we have become third largest or fourth largest economy now. And if we have to grow further, I think you can't ignore the 60% of the people who are staying in the village. And therefore, it is very, very important that they start contributing to the GDP of the nation. And for that, it is important, I think, the top leadership in the country today believes that cooperative perhaps is the best solution available. You bring them under the fold of cooperatives, and they will be able to, I think, increase their income. And that's how now we have the ambitious plan. Under the White Revolution 2, we are going to form 75,000 new village level cooperative societies that will add more farmers into the cooperatives, and the present milk procurement what we have, we will increase by 50%, and they will be multi-purpose. So the dairy cooperative will also work for the fisheries, for example, or the agriculture cooperatives, and vice versa. So the agriculture cooperative will also work for dairy. So we are going to cover about 2 lakh villages for the multi-purpose societies, of which 75,000 villages will be covered by the dairy cooperatives. One of the other thing which has happened is also, I think, after the Sri Amit Shah ji has become the cooperative minister, first time we have the cooperative ministry now, and he has started focusing on various businesses. And NDDB is actually core of these multi-state cooperatives. We have promoted organic cooperative, for example. We are the chief promoter, and we are now promoting organic production of agriculture, all the agriculture products. We are also started marketing these organic products. So both Amul and NDDB with the Bharat name, with the brand name of Bharat, we have started selling almost 35-40 staple products which we use commonly under the organic brand. And every product comes with a certificate, barcode, where you can see that there is no pesticides residue or there is no other residues or chemical residues in the product. They are truly organic product. We are also working on another cooperative is for promoting export. For example, one more cooperative for the seeds, Bharatiya Bij Sahakari Samiti Limited, because one of the challenge which farmer face today is the low yield in the agriculture crops also. And one of the reason identified is the truthfully available, truthfully certified seeds. And that challenge we are catering with this multi-state cooperative, where the larger farmers who have the land, they produce seeds, it processed, certified, and then the certified seeds is given to the farmers who do not have the facility to produce seeds. So this is one more. And the very recent is the Sahakar Taxi. I think it's in the news last month. You might have read about it. So NDDB is again a promoter, and we are going, now we have more than 1 lakh drivers already enrolled. They will become the owners of this cooperative, and all the money which we pay to Ola and Uber, now it will pass on to the drivers of these members of the cooperative. And few more are in the pipeline. I think by end of the next year, we will have some 9-10 multi-state cooperatives working in different fields, which will cater to the large, base, the low income base of our population. They will get connected to the multi-state cooperatives. Some of the technological innovations which we are driving in the value chain. So we have, as I explained, automatic milk collection systems. We have now route optimizing software. So if you are collecting milk from 10-15 different villages, how you should optimize the procurement cost. So we have developed the software for the same. Both Government of India and NDDB has a National Digital Livestock Mission. We are spending 50% each to build a software. Every activity what you do, an animal what you perform is actually recorded. You get all the data. So much before our Aadhaar came into existence, in fact, our software had the Pashu Aadhaar. So every animal is now covered with the ear tag, and we have all the data passing on into the portal which we maintain. We have very recently launched the ready-to-use culture. So it's actually when you want to make curd from the milk, we commonly say Mervan. So you add some curd to make the curd out of the milk. Now, for the large volumes in the dairy plant, it becomes very difficult to use the earlier days curd for making the fresh curd. So now we have ready-to-use form. This was available and imported for all of us in the country. Now NDDB has developed the technology, and our subsidiary IDMC has now set up a plant which was inaugurated just 5 months back by Sri Amit Shah ji, and we are now supplying the ready-to-use culture to the dairy cooperatives. Another significant initiative which we have taken is actually waste to wealth, or using dung as something which can provide additional income to farmers. So all these 60 years in our existence, we never thought that dung can provide additional income to farmer. We were only focusing on milk. But then I think the initiative of our Prime Minister, I think he gave the vision waste to wealth. When he was in Anand for the inauguration of Amul chocolate plant, he advised us to use gobar or the dung as a potential source of fuel and fertilizer. I think we all have used dung as fuel or fertilizer some or other time, and whether we can have a value chain developed as we have developed for the milk. We started focusing in, and you can see the potential which it has. If we are able to use as both fuel and fertilizer, I think Bharat Bhai is the pioneer in this field, he knows, and we can save a lot of foreign exchange for our country if we are actually able to utilize every dung what our animal produce for fuel and fertilizer. So we have actually developed 3 different models. So the first model is a small biogas plant, flexible biogas plant of 1.5 meter cube 2 meter cube capacity. It is actually set up at the backyard of the farmer. The farmer has to put the dung and water. It gets digested. The methane is actually converted into biogas. It is a clean fuel, and the farmers can use for the cooking purpose. And the resultant slurry is converted into the organic fertilizer. Then we thought that if we have to give a small biogas plant to all these dairy farmers, it will take very long time, and it's a time-consuming process. So we thought of a centralized model where we are collecting 100 metric ton of dung at one location from different farmers, and we have set up now compressed biogas model where all this dung is taken into 2000 cubic meter or 4000 cubic meter digesters. The dung is, the methane is again converted into raw biogas. Either it is used directly into the dairy processing plant as a source of fuel, so it can replace the furnace oil. So we have set up a plant in Varanasi. We are using the biogas produced from 100 metric ton of dung for processing almost 1.5 lakh liters of milk every day. The other purpose is that this raw biogas you can purify. So 95% methane you purify, compress, and then you can sell it as the mobility of the vehicle. And now the government of India has also made mandatory to blend CBG into CNG. CNG is fully imported. We are importing all these fossil fuels. And if we are able to produce more and more compressed biogas, which can be mixed with the CNG, like we are blending ethanol with the petrol, I think we can save a lot of foreign exchange which we are spending as of now. And all 3 models are now working. We have proved that they are sustainable, although the returns are low. And the government of India is also coming out with a lot of policies now to help the smaller farmers so that they can generate additional income from the dung, and at the same time we can make our villages clean. We are also trying to get or generate carbon credits from this initiative, and some of the farmers who have set up the biogas plant very early, 5-6 years back, we have enrolled all of them now, and we have started paying them whatever carbon credits is being generated. They are all registered, and for the next 20 years they will get continuous money through the sale of the carbon credits. So I think with that, I'll come to the final 5-10 minutes on the challenges we still faced. After achieving everything what we have, we still face challenges, and what should be the way forward for actually realizing the common vision of Viksit Bharat. So challenges in terms of the dairy sector, the first thing, as I told earlier, is the productivity of cattle and buffaloes. It still remains a major challenge from the income point of view for the farmers, and also from the sustainability point of view. I think that is a challenge which we need to mitigate. The other is the share of the organized sector. So having gathered so many farmers into the cooperative fold, I think still we have large number of farmers who are unable to get along with the organized sector. So how do we mitigate that challenge? Share of value-added dairy products, because still I think large proportion of milk which we are procuring from the farmers is sold as liquid milk. Can we produce more value-added products, get better margin, and pass on this better margin to farmers? How do we participate in the global dairy trade? I think, as I told, as of now, both our demand and production growth is almost same. So we don't have any need to tap the export market. However, I think the way in which we are growing, I think days are not far when our demand growth will be lower than what we produce, and we will have to look for the markets, and we have to be ready, because it takes almost a decade if you have to be ready and start exporting into the some of the developed markets. And the last one will be the environmental concerns. What we have, as I told, methane is a greenhouse gas, and the emission of methane is actually a concern for all of us now and also for the future generation. So I think this is the vision or some of the targets which we have framed for the dairy sector to see our country Viksit Bharat, and we have a target of increasing the animal productivity, for example. So as I told, our present productivity is about 2,100 kg of milk per animal per year, which we want to increase up to 5,200 kg per animal per year. And for that, all the strategies what you need for breeding, health and nutrition, I think we are all working to realize this target. Share of organized sector, I think as of now, actually from the 100 liter of milk which is being produced in the country, almost 40 liter is consumed by the farmer themselves for their own need. So actually the 60 liter of milk comes to the market as surplus. From this 60 liter, as of now, almost 35 to 40% is being procured by the organized players. So whether it is the private, whether it is the cooperative, the institutional players buy about 35 to 40%. The remaining 65% of milk is still traded into the unorganized market. So whether it is the halwai, whether it is the dudhia, you can tell any word, but then this milk is going, and as consumer, we are not sure what we are buying from them, unlike the organized player. So we have a target to increase the share of the organized sector. Can we have, say, from 30-35%? Can we increase to, say, 65-70% of the organized market? And for which we have decided to add almost 1.7 to 3.5 lakh villages in the next 2 decades under the fold of cooperatives, so that more and more milk is actually processed by the organized sector. Again, the third challenge is actually the value-added products. As I told, 70% of the milk what the organized players are procuring is actually sold as liquid milk, and remaining 30% is actually converted into value-added products where the margins are relatively higher. So what we are saying is, can we increase the present 25% value-added product share to 50%? Can we make it double, so that half of the milk procured is used for milk, the remaining half goes for the value-added products with better margin, and that you are able to pass on higher share to producer, and the farmers also remain interested in the sector, and they continue to produce more milk. As I told, I think the next thing is India's share in world trade. As of now, our share in the world trade is negligible. less than 1%. So some ice cream being sold by Vadilal or some maybe paneer sold by Amul. I think those are the very few sporadic examples you can see that we are actually tapping the exports. But the real trade happens in the commodities. I think 75% of the world trade is actually governed by the commodities. When I say commodities, it's actually milk powder and butter. Because milk is perishable, you can't export it as milk. And when you have butter and powder both exported, it's very easy to make milk out of these commodities. And thereby, as I told, New Zealand exports almost 90% of the milk procured into the various countries. So India is actually geographically is as a very, very advantageous position. We have, if you see towards east, we have Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia. All these countries are actually deficit in milk. There is a lot of demand which India can cater. If you see on the west, on the other side, you have Gulf and other countries. Again, the milk deficit countries. And we are very, very strategically placed if we have to export our milk and milk products. The only challenge is some of the phytosanitary measures what we have, some of the quality related concerns, because when India has to export, I think the first thing which comes in picture is the quality of our product. And therefore, I think NDDB and Government of India, we have started working on this direction. We are making our country ready for export. Whatever challenges we face today, for example, FMD disease, which I told, many countries do not allow export from the countries where the FMD is prevalent. So thereby, I think last 4 years, Government of India has decided to vaccinate every animal in the country for FMD. And this massive vaccination program is going on. I think with all the efforts which NDDB, Government of India and various other stakeholders are putting in, we will soon see our country also becoming FMD free, and that will make our country possible for tapping the export market. And the last thing is the sustainable dairying, because whenever we say in the international forum that India is the largest milk producer of milk, the counter question always comes, so what? You also have the largest number of animals. And animal being, emitting methane, it still remains a challenge for all of us. So our target is to produce more milk from fewer animals. So again, I think if we have to make the dairying sustainable, what is important is that we produce more milk from fewer animals, adopt all the scientific practices what we have, so that we are able to do that. I think last 3-4 years, the statistics of the country very clearly suggest that we are reducing the number of animals and still we are able to produce more. So we are on a right track. If you see last 10 years, for example, the productivity of our animal has grown by almost 25 to 26%. The growth in productivity, I am not saying the absolute terms. And this growth is highest in the country, which again gives confidence that whatever we are doing is correct, we are on a right path, and time is not far when we will be able to produce more milk from fewer animals, and we will take up this, mitigate this challenge of the greenhouse gas emission. And therefore, much before the 2060 deadline, which the Government of India has set up for making net zero, I think our industry, internally we have decided that let us have 2047 as the deadline for at least making our sector net zero in terms of the greenhouse gas emissions. So I think I'll end with a quote from Dr. Kurian. As I told, he was the founder of NDDB, and much of what we see today, I think the number of institutes which he set up alone, I think make him a visionary leader. And his quote is, I'll just read as such: if you place the tools of development in the hands of those who are directly involved in creating the resources on which development rests, and if you combine the wisdom, the energy, and the basic knowledge of our farmers with the skills of committed professionals, there is nothing that cannot be achieved. I think this is the message for all of us. I think the kind of infrastructure which we have created, kind of institutions we have created from 1947 till today, if we are able to use that knowledge, combine it with the professional knowledge and some of the some of the skills which we have learned, all this, I think it will not stop us from becoming the Viksit Bharat in 2047. Thank you very much.
I think one of the most comprehensive presentations and talk that we would have seen in recent times, Dr. Meenesh Shah gave a extremely detailed, of past, present, future, strength, weaknesses, challenges. He could not have been more comprehensive than this. With this, I request Dr. Bharat Patel to give the vote of thanks.
Good evening, all. Meenesh bhai, after a long time, for 1 hour and 10 minutes, I was listening you. Not you, but it is world future and India's future. I would like to thank Meenesh bhai, at least 3 cheers to Meenesh bhai. And in nutshell, this is a message to the youth to select not the doctor line, not the engineering line, not the CA line, but a line which is very much in progress is the dairy project, dairy industry. One very important thing, I was listening that I have delivered lecture in Delhi that the highest employment is among dairy, not the Adani or Reliance. And that is the amount, 8 crore population, they have been employed in India. It's the largest population. This second very important point which I liked is the nutrition management in India, which is very important. Every now and then we read in the newspaper that India is malnourished country. Children are malnourished. And the very important step which NDDB and the dairy, they are taking, including Amul, is the nutrition management. I would say a line on one topic which Korean has done, sir, a white revolution. Now we people along with NDDB and Bharat Bio is doing the black revolution, and that is the cow dung to gold. People have misunderstood the cow dung, and cow dung is not the waste, it is the gold of the country. So I would like to thank Meenesh bhai for giving the insight on the dairy project, future, the milk, and the very important part which I would now tell you is the Amul brand is coming along with the NDDB for residue-free produce in the market. So purchase the residue-free produce from the market, which is full grain, and now they are going to come with the vegetables and fruits. So this is a very short message to you all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, audience. Again, I would like to thank the Rajiv bhai for conducting this sort of session. Meenesh bhai, thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you.
I'll just request the AMA of this council, we'll have a photograph with sir.